Hello, welcome to the Redmen TV. It's a wonderful day in the city of Liverpool.
It's great.
Sun's shining. It's great. Birds are chirping. The sun is in the sky and all is well. We've got 4 topics we're going to discuss today. I'll be honest, stick with the show because we'll always make it interesting for you.
There's a lot of pressure now, Paul.
Oh, no, it's not. It's just natural.
Oh, man.
But yeah, it's not a great deal of Liverpool
Slow news day.
But plenty of stuff for us to discuss nevertheless. First thing we're going to discuss then, in fact, we've got one piece of, I struggle to call it transfer news. We'll get to it in due course, mainly just Liverpool news and a lot of opinion about Alberto Moreno, so stay tuned for that. First and foremost, Danny Ings played and scored for the under-23s. At the weekend.
In the Premier League 2.
Yeah. And as we know, not involved at all in the match at the Emirates. Now, what's interesting, and I think actually Empire of the Cop might have picked up on this in the week, Jurgen Klopp was talking about Benteke and Balotelli, and he actually included Ings in the conversation about this idea of we've got a lot of strikers, and there's only going to be so much game time going about, and then also went on to say, we're not giving gifts to any other clubs. Based on the fact that he's playing for the under-23s and the fact that he wasn't involved in the game, and again the illusion last week of what Klopp's saying, could we see Danny Ings go before the end of the window?
Of course we could. I think one thing Jurgen Klopp's talked about with regard to Danny Ings in the last week or so is this notion that he's not quite ready yet. I mean, look, he had 9 months out. He was out from October till May last season with the ACL injury. 9 months is a heck of a long time for a football. They normally say if you're out for 9 months, it takes you 9 months to regain your full fitness back to where you were and stuff. But he talked about, although Danny Ings played in pre-season, he was having a lot more rest in between games than anybody else. He wasn't taking part in all of the training sessions and stuff like that. And not because he was feeling the knee injury or anything like that, but more because they understand that he's not ready.
You have to be clever in how you build his physical
Exactly. Fitness. And so, as far as, for me, looking from the outside in, as we always do, Paul, is this notion that Klopp will probably, I think, maybe want him under his wing so he can manage that himself, because I think Klopp feels he's got the best fitness team around him that he's had at Liverpool, and probably better than, so let's say, just throwing a name on there, he went back to Burnley, for example. He probably trusts that our fitness team is better than that and will manage him better. So there's a potential that he could continue in the under-23s, or, if money's right, maybe he could go out. But I think he'll probably stick around because I think there will be opportunities for him.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I certainly hope to see him stick around, but when you consider that, and look, we've seen it already. Daniel Sturridge was apparently in contention to play, but similarly not fully fit and what have you. But I'm not sure there would have been place for him anyway, because if he was always starting for Mignolet, and then you've got Origi, this is an issue that we're going to have, and this is always going to be the detriment to the non-European football thing. For as much as it gives us a straighter run at the domestic competitions, of course, simply put, Danny Ings, if he was available and you're in the Europa League group stage or a qualifying in a group stage, he'd probably play in those. He'd at least be on the bench in those games, you'd imagine. So this is just one. I want to know your thoughts on that. Actually, would you entertain offers for Danny Ings? The thing is, he's 24 now. That's not an age you'd be looking to get loaned out at. You'd think
ordinarily,
anyway. No. But no, it'll be very interesting to see what happens of that. Like I say, personally, I really like Danny Ings and I want to see him get that chance. But you're right. I think there's so many mitigating circumstances, primarily around just how fit he's going to be. It's going to take him half this season to get back to being the Danny Ings that we started to love at the start of last season. Anyway, very brief piece of transfer news. Martin Odegaard, who's been making rumblings about wanting to join Liverpool. Yeah, you had your opportunity, dickhead. You had your opportunity. You got a little cuddle off Brendan, and you chose not to. I mean, fair play. To be fair, go hang out at Real Madrid with Cristiano and Zidane and all that. But no, he wanted to come to Liverpool. Apparently, he's not getting game time. Ancelotti actually said something the other week about how basically had no hand in his signing. It was a bit of a
PR.
Yeah, exactly, a PR stunt. Apparently he's going to go to Rennes on loan because Zidane thinks he will have more opportunities to develop there than us. And I think that's probably fair.
Look, if we can't get game time for Danny Ings, who's 24 years old, you know, what is he now, 16, Odegaard? 17, then I'm pretty much certain that he's not going to get game time for us either. And, you know, Ren can develop him and then we'll steal him in a year or so and I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Or when he just looks like he's fallen by the wayside, when it's not quite going for him at Ren and he's available for £2.5 million and you pick him up then, yeah. It's an interesting one. He's a weird one. His name's going to continue to be... His name's got currency, I think, for the next 6 months, maybe for the rest of the season. And if he does nothing, that's pretty much the end. Because at the minute...
Is he this generation's Freddie Adu?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, absolutely that. You know, by all accounts, you know, he was doing brilliantly at 15, 16 up to a point. But he's still a child, and it's been far too much too soon for him.
How many times we've seen over the years where these young guys start going, like developing physically, and it takes them a little while to get used to the body. You know yourself, when you're growing up, I never got gangly. I was never tall enough to be gangly and stuff, but there was people who we played footy with and stuff, and they just struggled because their body wasn't the same as what they've been used to. Like
the ends of your legs and arms are in completely different locations, like one more into the next. It's fucking crazy. So yeah, you know, it's a very important developmental period for him. It's weird. I mean, as long as he gets footy, that's fine. But he has all the hallmarks, and he's going to end up being a trivia question, isn't he? In a couple of years' time, he's probably amazing on Footy Manager, and then in a few years' time, he won't be, and he'll be playing for some third division side and blah blah. But then again, you know, the Norwegians, you know, they do have some decent career longevity. There's examples of both ways. Vegard Heggen being one, and then you've got like Tor Andre Flo or whatever at the other end, or Stigginger beyond me. Yeah. So yeah, I'm ultimately Martin Odegaard.
It's been a while since we signed the Norwegian. We were loving them in the 90s, weren't we?
I think it's just not on vogue. There's a great question in one of the post-match press conferences on the tour, and it was about Liverpool's new predilection towards Eastern Europeans, and the guy says. About how do they possess the physical attributes, or are they a bit more aggressive, are they a bit more physically demanding? The club goes, yeah, Laz Markovic, he's Eastern European, he doesn't really fit that, does he? Yeah, so yeah. Okay, Simon Mignolet, we know he saved a penalty. He had a decent performance against Arsenal, even though he conceded 3 goals. He is now officially Liverpool's and the Premier League's top penalty stopper. He saved 5 of the 11 penalties he's faced as a Liverpool goalkeeper.
Bloody good, that like.
Which means he's now joint top of in Premier League football as the best penalty saver, which is absolutely mental. Joint top with that. You know, I was going to do this a trivia question, but no one will know who it is. Joint top with Chelsea's Dimitri Karim. There's a little bit of a shatter blast from the past, if you will.
Yeah. So it pretty much proves that although Karim was a good goalkeeper, he was never like top drawer, was he? So you can save penalties and you're still not the best keeper in the league.
Yeah, that's true. I'd be interested to know what who made up the list, because it's funny because we always think of Pepe Reina as being a great one, but in Premier League, not that many at all.
He just wasn't great for us at penalties, not just Premier League. I mean, obviously he's the West Ham and stuff like that. He saved the penalty, but I think he was signed as when we signed him, he was a penalty saving expert, wasn't he? And that's what he think. But it was more Villarreal than anything else.
Yeah, well, you know, he came in, essentially won us the FA Cup with his shot stopping antics in the penalty shootout. But yeah, he never really did it past that. I mean, fair play to Mignolet. It's a nice record to have, if nothing else. But yeah,
good performance yesterday, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Last thing then, it's not so much news as much as, well, it is news because it's a statement of fact. Liverpool need a left back.
I would fully agree with that. I think we've been saying that for quite some time. It's not just us either. Every Liverpool fan has seen that over the summer, and you know, I think Sky Sports were probably, Gary Neville in particular, being a little bit harsh on Moreno yesterday. There was far too much. It was like fucking character assassination, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? On Moreno.
That's the thing with stuff. If you don't listen to the commentary, you don't really pay attention to the commentary. And anyone could see watching that game that Moreno had an absolute stinker, particularly in the first half. I thought he was okay in the second half. But you're right, is that they're always looking for something. And commentators, but particularly Gary Neville, look, he's back. He had a shocking time as a manager. I think he's probably damaged his reputation significantly by doing that. And he just come across as a little bit of a bitter mank. Now, I'll always think that about Gary Neville, even though I actually think his sort of career in front of camera. He's gotten better at that kind of stuff, but instinctively I hear a Manc accent chatting shit about a Liverpool player and it gets me heckles up a bit. But that being said, you know, you can't escape the fact that he's had an opportunity there, Moreno, to, you know, he's been given the nod. We had no choice with no one else who can play there. And look, he's not taking it. And I think any remaining supporters, or at least people who were prepared to go, yeah, kind of fine, I don't think there's any doubt now that, listen, we've got, 3 weeks tops till the end of the transfer window. We're going to have to go into the transfer market and sort that out.
If we harbour ambitions of putting a title challenge together this season, that is our main area of weakness. Why Arsenal never continued to sort of throw everything at Alberto Moreno second half, I've no idea, because they were having so much success first half with targeting him, and it seemed really strange. It kind of felt like, when I was watching the game, I was thinking this, and I never vocalised it in any way, shape or form, but you know when you're playing Pro Evo and you tend to attack down the side closest to you because you can see it better, and you've got the whole pitch to see, it kind of felt like Arsenal did that a little bit, do you know what I mean? And then when he went to the far side, they were like, oh, let's just play closer to Wenger and he can conduct the passes and stuff, and it was weird for me. Like they had a clear opportunity there to get at him, to really fucking come back into the game and probably get a point out of the game, but they failed.
Do you think any move could hinge upon us getting transfer fee in for the likes of Christian Benteke?
I think it does. I think if it didn't, we'd have already signed a left back. I think, you know, we're looking for what looks to me now like a first choice left back. I know we've been looking at like Chilwell and stuff all summer long, but I think it's got to the point where we realise we probably need two, because Moreno's not good enough to be the backup either. I think we're going to spend big on a left back, and that could be us done.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I actually thought, based on the first half performance, I thought it strengthened the case for to go and buy another defensive midfielder, because I don't think Henderson did a particularly good job. He was fine, but it didn't look like it worked. But then, of course, it worked so well at the start of the second half, it's allayed me fears a little bit over it, especially with Emre Can coming back in as well. But yeah, I think we've known this all summer, really, haven't we? And I still think Moreno's got a role to play. Unfortunately, Arsenal at the Emirates is not his game. It's not, you know what I mean? I don't therefore know what
much space.
Look, it's going to be very interesting to see. He'll unless something happens this week, he'll probably play against Burnley next weekend. You know, again, unless Milner's back. But I would be interested to see because ultimately, if he can't do it against a top level, against a newly promoted side, or even if it is away from home, then yeah, there are severe question marks over now. I would be tending to agree that we need another body in there. But yeah, let us know your thoughts then. Who would you target? You know, Hector's the one for me. If he's still around, apparently signed a new contract, but
he did, yeah.
Whatever, like, you know what I mean. It just means he's cost a bit more money. If there's anyone else out there you think Liverpool should be taking a look at, let us know some names in the comments below. If you haven't done so already, click the subscribe button in the corner of the screen. Yeah, all kinds of extra words in there.
Where is it now?
Thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back with more fantastic Redmen content, including a tremendous final word show on the redmentv.com.